and gentlemen, boys and girls, donuts and munchkins, welcome back to another episode of Eat the Donut. Literally right before I started recording this episode, or I actually did record it. I edited the first 2 minutes out because I said my whole intro of ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, donuts and munchkins, welcome back to another episode. And then I said, hey, I need a coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's grab a coffee before I start this. So got my coffee, ready to get things cranking in today's solo episode. We are back with a solo episode today, going over 8 hard truths you need to hear about fat loss. And before we get into that, I just have to tell you about my morning real quick because it's been quite the morning. It's almost one of those mornings where it's like, should I do the rest of the day? Like, should I just go to bed and call it a day? Because I woke up and dropped my wife off at the airport, and obviously getting up early, just decided to go to the gym right afterwards. And so after going to the gym, I was walking back to my car, and I usually keep my keys in my bag that I carry around at the gym. And with our keys these days, they have these sensors, I guess you call them, that when I put my thumb on the door, it like opens the door. And that didn't happen as I walked to my car. So I went scrambling through my bag, realizing I don't actually have my keys and I have no idea where they are. So I had to go walk upstairs, retrace my steps, looking all over the gym, which I don't know why I didn't do this in the first place, but I went to the front desk and I asked them afterwards, hey, do you have a set of keys that maybe someone dropped off? And they pulled out my keys. They had this green little rubber band on them that I knew they were mine. And so spent, again, maybe it's all 5 minutes, but felt like 20 minutes looking for them. So that happened. So forget my keys right off the bat at the gym. Then go to the grocery store because we don't have any groceries. That's why I guess you fucking go to a grocery store. Oh man, me telling stories, I get a kick out of it. I always really enjoy laughing at myself. I feel like, I don't know why. I just have a lot of things that I end up saying or doing that I just need to laugh at because I am a goofy goober. Anyways, go to the grocery store because, as I told you, didn't have groceries in the house. Why you go to a grocery store? And parked my car. I parked my car next to one of those, I forget what they're called. They're like a carriage parking station where you put your carriages, where you should be putting your carriages after you, obviously put your groceries in the car and everything. So I like to park next to that because it makes it easier to put your grocery cart back. Anyways, do my thing in the grocery store, come back to my car, and I looked to where I thought I parked, and I was like, oh no, my car is not there. So I thought I also parked close to the store. And when I looked over and there was no cars in the front of the store, I was like, shit, where's my car? And for about 60 seconds, I got really panicky thinking someone stole my car. And then all of a sudden, I just came back to life and looked a little deeper into the parking lot and saw that I actually parked further back. Just, again, one of those mornings you're like, what is going on in my brain? Why can't I think straight? Why is nothing making sense? Or why can't I remember anything that happened all of, 20 minutes ago? But here's the best part. Then finally got to my car, put the groceries in it, drove back home and parked my car. And then I walk upstairs to my apartment and I'm here for about 20 or 30 minutes, just kind of unpacking after the gym, getting stuff ready for the workday, getting organized, all that good stuff. And finally, I'm like, all right, let me go make a smoothie real quick and then I'll kind of get cranking into work stuff. And I go to get the blender out, get the little shaker bottle thingy I use to blend it. As I'm talking right now, I'm like, words are tough. Why are words always tough for me every day? But anyways, we'll call it get the blendy thingy. Went to go get the ingredients, some berries, some milk, protein powder, and a little bit of peanut butter. And I look everywhere. I'm like, oh my goodness, I never got the groceries out of the car. So for 20, 30 minutes, the groceries were just sitting in my car. I don't think I've ever done that before. And that was like the cherry on top to my morning. I was like, this is it. I literally think I should just go back to bed for the rest of the day. I don't think today should happen. I think for everyone else's safety, keep me off the roads, keep me in my house, and we'll try again tomorrow. But no, that was just my morning, and I'm laughing about it now, just how ridiculous it was, and just how all over the place I was. But anyways, hopefully some little entertainment for you, some laughs at me, as I very much deserve there, because I'm laughing at myself about it. So anyways, in today's episode, I'm going to be a little bit different, and I'm definitely not that military-esque style coach. I'll be straight up. I'm just not. I'm not going to be like, you're a fucking piece of shit, like get your shit together, fucking do more laps, eat less calories, that sort of deal. I'm not going to be that sort of person, but I'm an honest coach. I will present you the facts of what your actions are. And in today's podcast, something I want to do is just bring up some honesty. That's it. Just bring up some hard truths that probably people won't tell you, because I know you're someone who's been probably spinning your wheels, going absolutely banana pants, trying to lose weight, trying to lose fat, trying to feel better, trying to change your life, trying to change your health, but nothing seems to be clicking. And if that is someone like you, you probably need to listen to this entire episode. So I'm going to walk you through some 8 hard truths about fat loss. And they're not meant to shame you. They're not meant to make you feel guilty. They're truly meant to free you. Because I'm sure, as you know, fat loss is already hard. It's tough. Like, it really is a challenge. But I think a lot of us, especially, a lot of the clients that I bring on, a lot of my one-on-one online clients, a big reason why it feels so tough is because they're chasing bullshit. They're chasing these extremes. They're chasing false expectations. They're chasing these quick fixes, which in the long run makes it feel impossible. So I still agree that fat loss is tough and weight loss is tough, but why make it any harder than it needs to be? So if you're ready for this, buckle up. We're going to get cranking into it. But before we get cranking into it, could you do me a huge favor? Go ahead, leave a 5-star review. If you've been listening to the podcast, been really enjoying it, this is your first time here, welcome. I love that you're here. Feel free to leave a comment below introducing yourself. I would love to chat, love to get to know you, love to build a relationship and see what's going on, see how else I can help. But if you have been listening, if you've been here for a while, or again, if you're a new listener and you want to wait till the podcast is over to see if you actually like it, please leave a 5-star review. Please leave a written review if you can. It would be greatly appreciated on my end, and it would mean the world to especially spread this message that I truly, truly have a passion for, really have this purpose for, of is really cutting out all this bullshit that comes with dieting culture, coming with the BS nonsense in this industry, and hopefully filtering some things out to really make fat loss easier. Because my goal for you is to really kind of get off this yo-yo dieting roller coaster, to really never diet again, and to go live happily ever after. I always like to say, let's achieve fat loss freedom and live happily ever after, because I think that truly is the goal. It's not just to achieve fat loss. That's great in itself, but it's to feel mentally and physically free. It's to feel like less of these burdens on your day-to-day life, and to eventually develop the autonomy, to develop the confidence, the self-efficacy in your ability to take care of your health, the workouts, the nutrition, the mental health aspect of it, the mindset of it, but to also enjoy life as well. We're trying to find this Goldilocks approach, this Goldilocks zone to health and fitness, where we eat the donut, hence the name podcast, Eat the Donut, where we eat the donut, but it doesn't spiral into 12 donuts. It doesn't turn into this, I'm a piece of shit, it doesn't turn into those, I'm a piece of shit, I fucked up, I'm a failure, I suck at this, just because you ate the donut. No, let's eat the donut and move on in life and just keep going, enjoying life. Yes, take care of your shit, take care of business. We need to do that, but also enjoy life as well. We're trying to find that Goldilocks zone that fits well for you, that feels good for you. All right, so with that being said, let's get into it. The hard truth, numero uno, number 1. No one is coming to save you. Stop being the passenger on this journey and start to become the driver. I always like to think of any time, I'm trying to think of like a good analogy here, but think about it like this. If, say, your partner is always the one driving the car, and every time they drive, it's just like a bumpy road. It's just like feels unsafe. They're not stopping at stop signs. They're not stopping at red lights. They're swerving in other lanes for whatever reason. It's going to feel frustrating on your end. You're sick and tired of being nervous and worried about every time you're in the car with them. Well, guess what? Why don't you drive? You take control. I don't really know if that's a great analogy, but hopefully it gave some good insight there. But really just take control. Put the keys in your hand. You take control of the situation and become the better driver and get places a lot safer without so much worrisome. Because like I was saying, like no one's coming to save you because they were really never meant to. It doesn't mean you can't get support, doesn't mean you can't get some help, but at the end of the day, you have the keys, you have the keys to the car, and the longer you continue to wait for someone to save you, to make progress for you, the longer you're just going to stay stuck. But really, like, say that to yourself, like, no one's coming to save you. And I know it can seem harsh, but really sit with it and let it sink in. Like, no spouse, no friend, no perfect program, no 30-day challenge. And again, not even a coach, right? Like, at the end of the day, a coach can help you. They can motivate you. They can guide you. They can provide assistance. They can give you education. They can give you awareness on your situation. But at the end of the day, it's on you to do the work. It's on you to make the change. And by the way, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. That's you gaining control. It's almost liberating. I remember talking to this one individual who eventually became a client, but they kept saying before starting, oh, I just need to get through summer and then I'll start. Then it was back to school. Oh, we just need to kind of get things rolling with back to school, then I'll start. Then it's the holidays all of a sudden. Oh, let's just let the new year. Once the new year starts, we'll get through the holidays. Once the new year starts, we'll get started. Then all of a sudden they're sick. All right, let me get over this sickness after a couple of weeks and then we'll start. And the next thing you know is a full year passed. And then eventually I said, hey, listen, as we can see, there's all these things that are part of our life, right? We have the summer, we have the holidays, we have the back to school. We have situations that are coming up in your life. Are these things going to be a part of your life for the next 5, 10 plus years? The answer was yes. So instead of trying to wait for the perfect time, why don't we just take control of our situation and work with it? And again, this even comes back to sort of their beliefs beforehand, thinking they have to do extremes and everything at once. But we just finally decided, like, let's start small, and we'll start doing more than you're doing, which even the littlest bit will start making progress. And then we just build momentum from there. So we literally started with a little walk goal, started to put some structure with our nutrition. We weren't even tracking calories. We're actually just following, hey, 3 meals a day and 1 to 3 snacks a day, and just focus on those 2 things and be really consistent. And simply after a month of making a little bit of progress and honestly just feeling a lot mentally better, it wasn't dramatic, but it was dramatic. And she started to get that sense of control that this is in her hands. She had this realization that this is her situation. She needs to take control of it because the obstacles in her life aren't going anywhere. They are not changing anytime soon. And a lot of the times when you just start and you, again, start to take control of your situation, knowing like you are the one that has to be the driver here, not the passenger, you start small and you end up building this momentum that gives you a little bit of this sense of freedom. And then all of a sudden you start taking more control and then more control, and you get more momentum, and then you get more actions, and then you get more results, which leads to more motivation, and so on and so forth. So fat loss doesn't always begin. It rarely honestly begins when life just gets easier. It begins when you stop outsourcing these responsibilities that you have to take on your own. You don't need anyone to save you. You just need to believe that you can be saved yourself. And again, I'll say this one more time, where it doesn't mean you can't get support. It doesn't mean you can't get help or assistance. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you have to own your shit. You got to take responsibility for your life and for your actions. And if you want change to happen, then we have to make changes. And you have to take ownership and control of that. All right, truth number 2. It's your fault. Now, before I get into it, Goodwill Hunting moment here. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. But I will say now it is. So it is your fault. So let's try this analogy here. So let's say you are handed a GPS and it happens to be broken, but you type in your destination and it sends you all around the world. It sends you on detours, back ends, back roads, on highways, off highways. It just sends you all over the place. It gave you all the wrong directions, all bad directions. So no, it's not your fault. You got lost. Not your fault whatsoever. But Now that you know the GPS is busted, it's your responsibility to stop following it, to find a new GPS, to find a better GPS, to find a better way, to find a better map, to learn how to read a map so you don't stay lost or you don't stay stuck or trapped where you're at. So as it may not be your fault for some of the beliefs you have now, the way you were raised, your environment you grew up in, that is just a is what it is situation. But continuing to blame that for the reason why now you're not making progress or you're not making changes, we got to take some ownership there. And owning it, again, doesn't mean it was your fault. It just means you're deciding to take control of the driver's seat moving forward for the future. Starting today, all the way to the days past today, tomorrow, the days after that, the weeks after that, the months after that, the years after that, it's your responsibility. And I know this one stings, and I know we want to play the victim a little bit here and point our fingers at it and poor me, poor me, poor me. Trust me, I've been there too. I have moments of still being there. I get it. But at the end of the day, it's your responsibility. It's your choices. You have to take ownership. Take control of the situation. So the moment you stop blaming things like your metabolism, don't get me started there, hormones, again, I know that's a thing, but don't get me started there as well, because let's look at your lifestyle choices and your lifestyle habits first. But your metabolism, hormones, schedules, parents, kids, age, environment, whatever it may be, the moment you stop blaming those things and then you blame it on yourself and take control of yourself is a moment you put yourself in the driver's seat. You gain control. So let's say this, for example, because I think this can be a pretty common example. But let's say you grew up in a house where fast food was most dinners. Let's say emotional eating was pretty normal. Boredom eating was pretty normal. Getting stressed in eating or drinking was pretty normal. Cleaning your plate was a rule in the house. Finish your plate. Maybe the labeling of foods, saying you can't have this because this is bad and this you can have this because this is good, was something that was happened that created this sort of belief in your own head. Maybe even movement wasn't this whole priority. So yeah, maybe your parents didn't give you the best example of what a healthy relationship with food is, or what fitness is, or what training is, or what maybe a healthy relationship with your body looked like. And that's absolutely a reason that shapes sort of the way you operate today. So that part, totally not your fault. You didn't choose it, you just absorbed it, and that's all you know. But now, you're not a kid at that kitchen table anymore. You actually get to choose differently as an adult. You get to make your own choices. And you can rewire the way health looks like in your life. So you weren't responsible for what you were taught, but you're responsible for what you learn moving forward. You're responsible for the actions you take moving forward. We start shifting to making those changes. In doing this, you gain control, you gain power. So as it may be a valid excuse to point the fingers at someone or something from your past, moving forward, you're owning your future, regardless of how your past went down. It is what it is at this point. We can't change the past at this point. But now we can put the control and the power in our own hands to start making small adjustments moving forward to create the life you want to create, to make the changes you want to make. All right, shifting here to hard truth number 3. A little less on yelling at you here. Not that I was ever fucking yelling at you, but a little less on, I guess, the harshness. Again, I don't even think I'm a harsh guy, but on, I guess, more of a tough truth to hear. But truth number 3 is fat loss is boring. And that's why it works. You don't get excited about brushing your teeth every day. You're not joining any 30-day toothbrushing challenges, are you? You just do it because it works. It keeps your teeth clean, keeps your teeth healthy, and gives you a good old beautiful smile. Well, fat loss is the same. It's not always about excitement. It's really just about consistency. Imagine if you only brushed your teeth when you were motivated and excited. You'd constantly have cavities and dental problems. So imagine if you only worked out or tracked your nutrition or got your steps in or got your protein in or meal prepped or whatever habit you want to tie to fitness and fat loss and nutrition and all that stuff. That's why you keep staying stuck, because maybe it's not always exciting. And the boring stuff is always what actually works. Walking, getting your steps in, eating protein at each meal, drinking your water, lifting a couple times a week. making sure you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, finding the tools and tactics to manage your stress, whether it's talking to someone, journaling, meditation, again, even walking, and just being patient as hell. I know it's not flashy. I know it's not what they sell on Instagram, but this is what works over and over and over again. I promise you, if you look at someone who's constantly doing all these crazy diets and hardcore regimens, there's a reason why they keep yo-yo dieting. To be honest, man, what is the actual stat? I think it's 85%. Let me look this up real quick. Yes, it's about 80 to 95% of people who lose weight through dieting will regain it within 1 to 5 years. And it's typically because they're trying multiple diets. I think they try upwards of like 2 to 6 diets a year. So most people who want fat loss to feel exciting is because they actually don't want to dive into a deeper rooted problem, something that's causing them to emotionally eat. Maybe it's a belief they have. Maybe it's this habit they have. Maybe they just feel these behaviors are too uncomfortable to dive in, to talk about, and to change. So that's why they avoid doing the deep work and they go to the 6-week shred, the detox, the insert trendy extreme diet name here. But fat loss is honestly like investing. It's boring, it's consistent, and over the long period of time, progress happens. So when it comes to fat loss, don't always think about it like it as this exciting thing, but think about it as like brushing your teeth. Don't always get hyped to brush your teeth. I don't know if you ever get hyped to brush your teeth, but I know sometimes with workouts and walks and with some meals I do get excited about. But that excitement does ebb and flow. It's like motivation, it ebbs and flows. But you still, no matter what the feelings are, you just do it because you know it's going to work long term. And something that's boring should be something doable to stick to consistently, week over week, month over month. So just don't confuse boredom with ineffectiveness. You don't need more excitement, you just need consistency. And if you ended up doing what was boring and actually works for 6 months, instead of bouncing around, 6 different programs in 1 month, you'd be in a completely different place. Hard truth number 4. You can't outsmart stress and emotions. So imagine this. We're going to bring back the car example. I feel like a lot of fitness analogies go great with cars for whatever reason. So imagine you're driving in a car and the car flashes its check engine light. And instead of pulling over or getting it looked at or getting it checked at, you turn up the radio. Maybe you put a piece of tape over that light, or you just flat out ignore it, hoping it will just go away. And to be honest, whenever that happens actually in my car, I actually always hope it goes away. And sometimes it does. So I'm super happy because I am far from a handyman or knowing what the heck is going on. But anyways, another story for another time. But when this happens, when you are ignoring that check engine light, that's what's happening when you ignore stress, when you ignore emotions, when you ignore why you're maybe emotionally eating, because these are signs. Signal that something deeper probably needs attention. And if you keep ignoring them, eventually what happens? You ignore that engine light, the engine eventually blows. When you ignore these emotions or this stress that causes you to eat, what happens? You eventually eat, and you eat a lot, and you binge eat and you overindulge and you just get into this emotional eating state. So here's the thing. You don't need to panic. You just need to see what's going on. You need to check in with yourself, just like that engine light coming on. All right, the engine light's gone on. All right, check underneath the hood. Let's see what's going on. So a lot of the time, people will try to create this logic to get their way out of cravings or their emotions or their stress. Or they try to use willpower, or they just ignore the stress and the emotions until they eventually crash. But the truth is, it's going to be really, really hard to try to lose weight, to try to lose fat sustainably if you're constantly ignoring what your body, what your emotions, what that stress is asking for. So if you are someone who does emotionally eat every night, maybe you skip meals during the day and just binge everything at night. Maybe you're using exercise as a punishment to make up for all the calories you're eating. Or maybe you're just someone who feels like they reward themselves with food because you deserve it, air quotes, deserve it. If you're listening to this and not watching it on YouTube, I'm doing air quotes with my fingers right now. And none of this is about being disciplined. You're just disconnected. You can't outwork emotional eating. You have to understand what's behind it. We have to dig a little bit deeper. So when these emotions come up, listen to them. Ask what they're trying to say. I did this really cool workshop once. This is with, I've talked about him a couple times on the podcast. He's like one of my really strong followers I really learn a lot from. But it's with Jeb Johnson Stewart. And he had this course that was working with every individual's inner demons. And the inner demons were these, think about these voices you hear in your head that, maybe it's a lot of negative self-talk. So for me, in situations of people I don't know or in bigger groups, especially with people I don't know, I get a little bit nervous. I get a little bit anxious because what I'm scared of is embarrassing myself. I know I mumble, I know I stutter, and I also know I wasn't the best in school. So there's a little bit of a fear of embarrassment and a fear of not feeling intelligent in new groups. And this tends to happen a lot when I go to conferences with other fitness professionals and other coaches. So I kind of just shut down. I'm kind of just like the awkward, quiet kid who just hangs around. I think we all know that individual. Well, that individual is me sometimes. Or like, to be honest, anytime I record a podcast, I have nerves. I have a little bit of anxiety because, again, I don't want to come off as not being able to teach you something and understand it. Again, really what I'm trying to say, I don't want to come off as unintelligent, because there was a time in school early on where I struggled with reading. I still struggle with reading, dyslexic as fuck over here. But I struggled with reading. I remember anyone who is dyslexic will know this, but remember you had a reading class and read out loud, and they just went around the room, and then you'd look like five people over. You'd be like, all right, I'm up in five people, so I'm going to read this fifth paragraph, and then you start practice reading in that paragraph because you just don't want to screw it up and make sure you get it right. That was me. But I remember one time that was happening, and I like screwed up a word or something. I don't even know exactly what the line was or the word was, but I screwed it up, and the whole class laughed. And again, I'm all for a good laugh and whatnot, but in that moment, being so anxious and nervous for that, and then it happening, was like my worst nightmare. So that just ingrained a little bit more fear into me, a little bit more fear of embarrassment. So anyways, long story short there is, when I would talk to this inner demon that would be trying to protect me, because that's what it was trying to do, right? At the end of the day, these demons are trying to protect us from something, right? From feeling this feeling, from having to deal with that outcome again. So they protect us. So that inner demon would be like, don't participate, don't talk, don't embarrass yourself. And then in that standpoint, like, you won't embarrass yourself. You won't sound intelligent. If you don't talk, you won't sound unintelligent. And then we had to have a conversation with them, with the inner demon, and ask it, what do you need from me to feel more comfortable in this situation? And what came to mind for me is like preparation, right? More preparation makes me feel comfortable. So go back to reading. When I'd see there's five people in front of me, I'd practice reading what I had to read. That was preparation. When I record a podcast, I have notes. I'm reading notes right now as I'm going through this podcast, because that helps me feel more confident. When I go into a situation of a social group and want to talk to people, I kind of just have to have like a common conversation with myself. And for me in that, I just think about how I would talk to someone close to me. How would I talk to my wife? How would I talk to a friend? How would I talk to someone I am comfortable talking with, and pretend they're that person? And even remind myself that these people I'm going to talk to, in this moment I'm going to have with these people, they're probably not going to remember it. And at the end of the day, we're just these ants on this big rock in this floating galaxy. And at the end of the day, we're all going to die someday. I know this isn't the healthiest way to probably go about it, but it's true. We are all going to die someday. And none of this ever really mattered. That conversation doesn't really matter. So I guess what I'm getting at here is just sort of having that sort of deeper understanding of what's really going on. What does that emotion need? What is the emotion you're feeling? Where's it coming from? How did it get triggered? What do you need for that emotion? Because if hunger isn't the issue, food isn't the answer. So if you were stressed after a hard day of work, cool, you probably need something to stress relieve you, right? Whether it's a walk, whether it's having a conversation with someone, whether it's a workout, right? If you got in an argument with your spouse, maybe there's a conversation that needed to be had there in a civil manner, in a calm manner, being like, hey, this isn't me versus you. This is me and you versus the problem. So let's try to resolve that. If you're bored, simply if you're just bored and you like to boredom eat, we need entertainment, right? And some sort of entertainment, or just to be more comfortable with boredom. As we know from the last point, fat loss is boring. That's okay. But there is a standpoint as far as being more comfortable with boredom. But sometimes we just need entertainment. Sometimes we need something to entertain us that's not food, right? Especially these things that maybe impact our fat loss goals. We feel this emotion. Food's not the answer, right? We need to find something in a healthy way to switch with food to help become the new answer, right? And not only that, I'm kind of just getting into like just short-term stress relief, emotional relief, but we really do need to get into a deeper standpoint of like where this is coming from. Is this a disconnection you're having with your partner? Is this something that's going on with at work that we need to deal with, a conversation that needs to be had? Whatever it may be, what is causing this? What's the emotion? What's actually deep? What's the rooted problem here that's making you feel this way? And then we can start to unravel this a little bit more and figure out how to heal this and how to figure this out and how to deal with this. So just remember, these emotions, these feelings, this stress, these are signals. Let's listen to them. And you'll start to make these decisions that feel more aligned with your goals and more aligned with what's valuable to you. All right. Hard truth number 5. You are not perfect. You do not have to be perfect in order to achieve fat loss. And the truth is, you won't be perfect when you're trying to achieve fat loss. That's okay. You'll still get amazing results, create the life you want to create, and reach your goals. And think about it like this. You are climbing this mountain. It's really shitty weather out, foggy, rainy, and you can't see in front of you. Would you just turn around and go home? No. You just focus on taking one step in front of another, and then another, and then another. And say this hike or this climb takes days. Maybe some of the days you just take a couple steps. Maybe you barely even go a full on mile and it's like a 10-mile hike. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go. But some days you might take a couple steps, go less than a mile. Some days you might slip and fall, but you stand back up and you keep trucking forward. But no matter what on this journey, keep taking those next steps. You fall, stand up, take that next step, but do not turn around. Keep moving forward. You're not trying to be perfect here. You're just refusing to quit. And I always say this, as long as you never quit, you will not fail. You will achieve fat loss at the end. And then eventually you get to the top of that mountain and you can look down because the fog is cleared now and realize how far you've actually come. So don't worry about being perfect. Just be relentless. You don't need a perfect 30 days. You don't need a spotless tracking record with your calories. You don't need 7 workouts a week. You don't need to never eat a donut again, and you better not. What you need is to just keep going. When you mess up, learn from it, take notes, grow from it, and keep going. Focus on being consistent. Show up more days in the month than not, about 80% of them. And when slip-ups happen, forgive yourself, make the appropriate adjustments as needed, if needed, but keep fucking going. KFG. A lot of us struggle with fat loss, not because they lack knowledge. I think there's a good handful of us that know what we need to do, but it's just every time life throws a curveball, make a little slip up, something happens, we give up. We throw in the towel. Well, guess what? Life is forever going to throw curveballs at us. And I fucking hate it. As a baseball player all the way through college, I fucking hate curveballs. When someone threw me a first pitch curveball, my at bat was over. I only like the fastballs down the middle. But relating it back to this, life's forever going to have curveballs. And where your progress and success will come from is not slipping up and failing when you swing and miss at that curveball. It's just how quickly you recover from it. Not how perfectly you were performing, but how you were able to get back up and stay consistent and keep moving forward. In the time span of 1 year, you can make incredible progress. You're going to have vacations. You're going to have birthdays. You're going to get sick. You're going to have sick kids. There's going to be emotionally draining days. Work's going to suck sometimes. But if we look at the year as a whole and focus on winning one day at a time, as many days as we can win throughout the year, you can pick your head up, still be down 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds. Again, we overestimate how much we can accomplish in a month, but underestimate how much we can accomplish in a year. Like we're trying to lose 30 pounds in a month, which is typically unsustainable and really hard to maintain afterwards. But if you just took it a little bit more of a flexible approach, a little bit more of a sustainable approach, an approach that allows some screw ups, because there are going to be some screw ups, you can still lose a pound a week. That would be 52 pounds in a year, 104 pounds in 2 years. Imagine your life different, down 52 to 104 pounds. Maybe it doesn't even have to be that much, but think about it. A year or two of investing your time and energy into changing yourself and allowing yourself to make mistakes and develop a system and a foundation for yourself to overcome these mistakes, to grow from these mistakes. And after that year or two of really crushing it and being consistent, not perfect, but consistent, then we started to create our happily ever after. Because not only are you down in weight and healthier and in a good spot with your health, but you've learned everything you needed to on the foundation and systems you had to create for yourself, on how to handle weekends, on how to handle social events, on how to handle stress, allowing yourself to make those mistakes in those situations, but also knowing what to do moving forward. So after that year or two, you just go about living your life. Yeah, you're still paying attention and taking care of your shit, but you're paying attention and taking care of your shit with confidence and with the mindset knowing like you can be consistent and not perfect and still make this incredible progress and keep this incredible progress. So not perfect, just consistent and committed, even when things get a little bit messy. And this is good because it leads to point number 6. I kind of already talked about this, is hard truth number 6. It's going to take longer than you want. Fat loss is more like running a marathon than running a sprint. You can only sprint at top speed for so long. Honestly, just a couple seconds. But when you're jogging at a marathon pace, you can sustain that distance a lot longer than a sprint. And by the way, me saying this is going to take longer than you want it to isn't supposed to discourage you. It's just meant to mentally prepare you. Most people think fat loss should happen quickly. If I do everything right for the next 2 weeks, I should see the scale move. If I don't lose 10 pounds this month, something's wrong, something's off, even though you lost 6 pounds that month. If I just go hard for the next 30 days, I'll be good after that. But listen, fat loss isn't a 30-day sprint. Fat loss is probably like, depending on how much you have to lose, anywhere from 6 to 24, 36, maybe even 48 months, because we're making lifestyle changes too. When it comes to changing your lifestyle, changing these behaviors, that's where that takes time. It takes repetition. A quote I always like to use, Steph Curry, one of the best, if not the best shooter in the NBA in basketball. But he says something along the lines of, it doesn't matter how many reps it takes till I get it right. It's about how many reps I take till I can't get it wrong. And one of the biggest mindset killers when it comes to fat loss is false timelines. That's why I never give timelines as far as, hey, come join my program and lose 20 pounds in 2 months. That's given false expectations because 1, every situation, every scenario, every person is going to be different. But 2, it's also going to set you up to, if you didn't lose 20 pounds in 2 months, but you lost 10, you still think you're failing because of it. But even though the data shows you're progressing in the right direction, even though it's a little bit slower, quote unquote, doesn't mean anything's going wrong. Doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It's taking the time it takes, and that's okay. Just keep going, keep moving forward, and eventually it will happen. And at the end of the day, the timeline doesn't even matter. Especially if you're never going to quit, because it's going to eventually happen because you're growing, you're learning, you're progressing. And especially in the standpoint, like, again, if you're losing a pound on average every week, again, that's 52 pounds in the year, depending on how much you have to lose. Yeah, if it's 80 pounds, cool. All right. It might take 80 weeks. It might not. It might take more. It might take less. But just to give you this idea that even though you want to happen faster, doesn't mean we want it to happen faster. Because if you can sustain the things you're doing, and at a standpoint, this is what I tell a lot of my clients. It's like one of those things where it's like, hey, I have 100 pounds to lose. Cool. You've lost 20 in the first, couple months. Awesome. Now at a standpoint, just listening to them, seeing how confident they are, seeing how well they're doing. It's like a time game. It's a patience game at this point. Like, you're going to get there. You just keep doing what you've been doing these last couple months and stay consistent, and you will eventually get there. Yeah, it might not be tomorrow, but eventually it's going to happen. And that time span is really not all that long. Like, a year is long, but it's also not that long. Because if you put it in the perspective of you lose all the weight, you have the confidence to keep it off forever, and then you have the rest of your life to just live. Again, we're taking care of our shit, but we're living in confidence and better self-efficacy of ourselves to take care of our shit. But we have this freedom because of it, where we take care of our stuff, but we enjoy this life as well without all these mental burdens and mental challenges we face when it comes to our diet. And so whether it takes 3 months or 13 months or 23 months, just stick with it. Keep going. You'll get there. It's going to take the time it takes. Your job is to stop asking, how fast can I lose the weight? Because even if it's slow progress, it's still progress, baby. And progress is always progress. All right, we are down to our last 2 hard truths. Hard truth number 7 here. You don't need more discipline. All right, I'm going to bring groceries back into the mix here because that was a funny, to me, it was a little bit of a funny story. Forgetting my groceries in the car earlier this morning. But have you ever tried to carry your groceries in your arms without a bag? Like try to grab, let's say, like 12 grocery items in your arms without a bag and bring them into your house. Because I think about this from like Costco, because they don't give you bags. Yeah, you can get a box and everything, but they give you basically have every individual item and you're carrying them up as best you can, one by one, or trying to grab like an armful of things and bring them up. But imagine you're trying to bring in 12 grocery items in your arms without a bag. You're dropping them. The bananas are smashing. The milk's everywhere. All the snacks are completely crushed because you dropped them and stepped on them. And that sucks. Like that's frustrating, right? But now imagine the next time you have a big old bag, whether it's a grocery bag, whether it's a backpack, whether it's one of those tote bags, and suddenly the same task feels a lot more simple. It's the same load, it's the same amount of groceries, but now you're able to carry them all in one trip. Team one trip, which carrying the groceries in one trip with bags is always the goal. But no, kidding aside, the load hasn't changed, but what did change was your system. Discipline is trying to carry everything all at once, one item at a time. Each item is alone. Systems are the bags that make the load manageable, that allow you to bring all the groceries in at once. So this might surprise you, but you probably don't need more discipline. You probably need a better foundation of your systems. Because let's be real, I bet you listening right now, you do have discipline in your life. You get your kids on and off the bus from school. You get them to all their appointments. You get them to all their practices. You're managing work and home life. You're taking care of everyone around you. You're pushing through on some days and getting shit done that needs to get done. So you show you're not lazy. You show you're not, let's call it, unmotivated. You just have a really shitty system when it comes to your fitness and your nutrition. And I know the fitness world loves to push the narrative of you got to want it more, have more discipline, push harder, outwork everyone. No pain, no gain. But when your life is already pretty demanding, adding more pressure isn't really discipline. It's just creating more self-sabotage. So you don't need to try to make things harder. You actually just need to make it easier for yourself to win. And this could mean something like be better at planning ahead. Right? Be better at planning ahead so you're not constantly making food decisions in the moment. Build a more sustainable, realistic routine around your workouts so they start to become more automatic and not forced. Have a better system with sleep so you do get a good 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. So you're not dragging with energy all day. So you're not dragging with these cravings spiking up all day. And set better boundaries for yourself with people, with individuals, so you actually have energy to show up for yourself. And discipline is something that can get stronger, can grow, and typically is what gets you started. But your systems are what keep you going, what keep you consistent. So stop trying to white knuckle your way through everything and start trying to design a life where these choices you make that stay aligned with your goals feel more manageable, not as miserable. All right, and now to our last point, point number 8. I briefly touched upon this when we were talking about, what were we talking about? Oh, when we were talking about it's not your fault, but it is your fault. when I said stop blaming your metabolism, because point number 8 is stop blaming your metabolism. There's nothing wrong with your metabolism. I hear this all the time. Ever since I turned 40, 30, 50, whatever age you want to insert there, my metabolism just slowed down. It tanked. I look at carbs and gain weight. I've tried everything. My metabolism must be broken. And listen, I get it. You've struggled to lose weight, especially maybe as you gotten older. It's easy to believe there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with your body. But I'm here to break that truth to you. Your metabolism is not broken. If I was to walk around with you for an entire month, not even walk around with you, if I was to spy on you for an entire month and look at your habits day to day, look at your lifestyle day to day, would you still blame your metabolism? If I had the full insight of what you were and were not doing with your fitness, with your training, with your movement, with your nutrition, would you still blame your metabolism? Because what I would say is there's just probably something you're not aware of, or you're maybe not even being honest with. You're on track for maybe a day or two, or maybe even a couple days, maybe even close to a full week until a curveball's thrown. And then the snacking comes in. You're overeating, you're overindulging. Maybe you're moving less because you're tired, you're stressed, you're overwhelmed. But when most people think their metabolism is the issue, what's actually going on is they're unknowingly eating more than they think. They're moving way less than they think. They're expecting results on an unrealistic timeline, and they're just ignoring things, not realizing how much they're actually snacking, how much they're actually not moving as much. And by the way, if you honestly think your metabolism is broken, go get a panel done. Go get some blood work done. Go get it checked. Find out the actual facts. And that's what I'll say with a lot of things is, hey, if you think something's wrong, whether it's hormonally or something with your metabolic health, your metabolism, go talk to a doctor. Let's actually find out what's going on. Because if something's going on, cool, now we have answers. Now we have some solutions that can help with that. Maybe there's medication that can help. Maybe there's something else that we can do to help improve it. But at least we know the facts. But I bet 9 times out of 10, if not more, we're going to find that, hey, everything looks A-okay. Hormonally, you look okay. Metabolism looks totally fine. All right. We know it's a lifestyle thing. We know we're eating more than we think we are, or we're being honest with, or we're not moving as much as we think we are, right? And there's a difference of, hey, I think I'm in a calorie deficit. Well, are you in an actual calorie deficit? There's a difference of thinking you're doing something and actually you're doing something. Like, what are the actual facts behind it? It's like what I say with individuals of, hey, I'm going to try to work out 3 times this week. No. How are we actually going to work out 3 times this week? Try is a cop-out. Say I'm going to try to do something that's cop-out, because if you do it, great, you did it. But if you didn't do it, hey, I tried though. Like, I tried, it's okay. It's a little bit of a cop-out there versus allowing yourself to be like, hey, I'm going to work out 3 times this week and do it. And if you don't do it, cool, you failed at it this week. That's okay. Failure is part of it. We're going to make mistakes. That's okay. Let's learn from it. But commit to it. Like, make an actual commitment to it. So anyways, side tangent there. But let's figure out what's actually going on. And we get checked. Everything looks okay. Cool. Well, this is what we need to focus on. Calorie management. Like, that's why we're not losing weight, is because you're not in a calorie deficit. Protein intake. That's really going to help with your metabolism. Making sure you're getting enough protein in. It's a higher thermic effect, boosting your metabolism compared to carbs and fats. Strength training will boost your metabolism. As you strength train, we get stronger, we build muscles, we become more metabolically active. In walking will boost your metabolism. Walking is movement throughout the day. When you are moving your body, your metabolic rate increases and you are actively burning more calories, right? Your metabolism is higher when you are moving and more active. So those are the 3 big areas I'd really double check on, is how's your exercise, how's your training, how's your protein intake and calorie management, and then how is your overall daily movement, how are your steps, how's your walking, and just do a little self-audit there. All right, so that is all 8 hard truths for this week. So just to quickly go over them. Truth number 1, no one's coming to save you. Truth number 2, it's your fault. It wasn't your fault, but now it is. Truth number 3, fat loss is boring. That's okay. That's why it works. Truth number 4, stop outsmarting or trying to outsmart stress in your emotions. Get deeper, figure out the deeper rooted situation, problem going on. Truth number 5, you're not perfect, will never be perfect, and that's okay. That's what makes you beautiful. That's what makes me like you. Like, I love people's imperfections. Flaws are typically why I like people, because they're just something about them that makes them unique, and I like that. But when it comes to fat loss, you don't have to be perfect. You just got to be consistent, baby. Keep showing up, keep moving forward. Truth number 6, it's going to take longer than you want. This isn't a sprint, it's a marathon, especially when trying to change behaviors, trying to change habits. The real stuff we're trying to change here, that shit just takes repetition. Truth number 7, you don't need more discipline, you just need better systems. And truth number 8, nothing's wrong with your metabolism. So I hope this was helpful. And like I said early on in this, if you are new to the podcast, please, if you liked it, leave a 5-star review. A nice little written review would be helpful as well. If you hated it, keep your opinions to yourself. No one needs that kind of negativity in their life. But if you did listen throughout this whole thing, I appreciate you. I hope you were able to get some good insight in here. Hopefully create some more awareness into your fat loss journey. But if you do need anything, please do not hesitate to reach out. You can send me a message on Instagram, shoot me an email. Everything is KPD Fit some sort of way. My email is kpd@kpd.fit. Instagram is just kpd.fit. TikTok's kpdfit. I think most things on social media are just kpdfit somehow, some way. But if you do need anything, do not hesitate to reach out. Or if you just want to say hi, come say hi. But I do appreciate you listening into this. I really hope you did find it helpful. We'll be back next week with another brand new episode. And as always, keep going, keep moving forward. As long as you never quit, you will get this. You will achieve fat loss freedom and go live happily ever after. But until next week, go eat a damn donut. I believe in you, and we will chat soon. Cheers.